Good evening and welcome to For Fantasy's Sake, the Quad City's first and only fantasy football show. I am your host, Doug Green. I am joined by DJ Jarvis, Joe Winkle, and the handsome man down in the corner is one Mr. Dan Vasco.
Well, thank you.
Oh, what, am I not pretty?
No.
Did we split this on purpose? Hair versus no hair?
Yes.
Right? Yeah, there you
Honestly,
go.
yeah.
Oh, man.
Hey, man, I got more hair than Dan.
I'd like to air out, let the air get to my head and, it helps me form these great opinions.
You guys are definitely both follically challenged. So.
That's fine. But we're not football challenged, baby.
Yeah. So for tonight's show, we're going to do something a little fun here. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to run through all the NFL teams. And the game is if you could only take one player off of that team, who would you take? And we're going to do this as a standard redraft style, so no IDP. Don't have to worry about offensive linemen or any of those types of things. We're only concerned about the big four positions. And so as we go through there, so when we get to Kansas City, you can only take either Mahomes or Kelsey, which is what I'm here for, to force DJ to make that choice. So with that said, I think what I'm going to do is we will start we'll go through the different divisions. I'm going to start in the NFC West, and we're going to do these in reverse alphabetical order. So let's start with the Seattle Seahawks. If you could only have one guy from the Seahawks, who would that be?
Who starts in this?
You're the newest. You can start.
Okay, sounds good. I'll take a stab at it. For the Seattle Seahawks, for me, it's a toss-up between DK Metcalf and Kenneth Walker. And I'm a little bit higher on Kenneth Walker than maybe the consensus, just because I feel like it's something where maybe we're overthinking it a little bit, where people are a little concerned about Zach Charbonnet. I know that there's injury concern there as well, but just with how incredibly prolific he was and a big play threat, I'm probably going to lean Kenneth Walker here because I would feel more confident that, I could round out receivers and other teams. Like if I had to pick one Seattle Seahawk, Kenneth Walker for me for that big play potential.
Yeah, I think I would go DK just because I feel like he's the safest bet. But I do think there's a world where JSN is on the board at some point as this. Because I think he could get a lot of targets. And also, too, I think Kenneth Walker, from a fantasy perspective, I think that's a little bit worrisome because I don't think he's going to be an every down guy, especially with Charbonnet. He's horrendous at pass pro. So I think third down back is going to be Charbonnet this year, definitely. So he could get catches and he could get short yardage work maybe. So I think DK is definitely the safest bet. But I do understand Kenneth Walker because he probably has touchdowns and are probably more of a possibility with him than anyone else. But I think DK.
Pete Carroll loves his running backs too.
Exactly. It's very thin. It's very close. They have multiple options.
I think for me, I would go DK. My heart says Tyler Lockett, but my head says DK Metcalf. I don't trust Geno. I don't know if anybody would even think about Geno at this as their guy. I think it'd have to be a wide receiver at this point, or Kenneth Walker. But I think DK for me is the clear answer here.
Well, there's no way Geno's like. I was going to say there's no way Geno's what was he last year? The seventh best QB or something like that. There's no way that happens again.
Right.
Oh, he should be top 15 to 20, but 7. Like the odds of that are just slim.
So what I'm noting during this conversation is there's 3 wide receivers we could possibly talk about. We mentioned all 3 of them. There's 2 running backs we could think about, but only 1 quarterback. So I am going to go Geno Smith here.
I thought you were going to go Will Dissly.
No, I'm good. I did think Noah Fant. I really did. I did consider Noah Fant.
Yeah.
But and the fact that I roster Geno Smith on a couple of my rosters, we're gonna go Geno Smith.
Hey, I mean he's steady Eddie, so you know that you're not gonna get 5 points in any given week, but you might not get 30 ever either. But
we were also talking about this pre-show. You kind of asked me about the statistics in the Scott Fishbowl. You get no negative points, so. Geno Smith. This is who we're going here.
Right on. All right, we all had some good variety there.
All right, next up, this ought to be interesting.
Next are the Rams, who have zero variety.
Well, actually, the next one up is the 49ers alphabetically, at least according to ESPN here.
Oh, never mind.
So you've got a lot of choices here. So I'm curious to see what you guys say out of the Niners.
Since I went last time, I'll go first this time.
Right,
I'm just gonna say CMC. I'm not gonna make an argument for him.
Okay, so I was looking at deep diving in some stuff, and I heard last year when they broke down like percentage of points, or I think it was just on a points basis for games that Elijah Mitchell was healthy, McCaffrey's numbers weren't as good. Now, once the Niners as a whole got McCaffrey, they were basically the best offense in the league, or at least one of the two best offenses in the league. So like that's obviously on as a team perspective, McCaffrey, and I would probably still pick McCaffrey, but that was something that was interesting that I saw where every mock draft I've seen, at least on ESPN, has had basically McCaffrey top 5, and no doubt RB2, and the thing I saw about his points being dipped compared to when Elijah Mitchell played or not, that was very interesting to me. So. That's something I don't think people are looking into enough, but McCaffrey's the obvious choice here because he's amazing.
Yeah, it's McCaffrey for me too. I think it's pretty cut and dry. Probably the easiest decision next to the Rams when we get to them. But yeah, I mean Debo's obviously super intriguing. Ayuk might have like one of that breakout year that we've been waiting for. But I mean, it's McCaffrey's the dude for sure.
Not even TE1 George Kittle can't get any love.
Yeah, dude, I've been burned by George when it comes to fantasy football for the last like 3 years. It's so hard to like. You're basically guaranteed to miss like 3 or 4 weeks. You don't know when it's going to happen in the season, if it's going to be an important matchup. He's awesome, but he's also capable of putting up 3 points. And can also put up 40. So there's a lot of variance there. I prefer if I'm getting a tight end to at that point I might as well just wait and get someone that's like a consistent 8 points or something like that.
That's fair. I think I might lean Debo here outside of the 101. If I have any other pick besides that, I'm probably.
Are you keeping track of this stuff, Doug?
No, absolutely not.
Oh well, somebody should do that.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't make a Google Sheets for this like I did for the Over Unders podcast with all of the color coordination and whatnot.
All right, now we're on to the Rams. Does anybody want to take anybody other than Cooper Kupp?
It's Cooper Kupp until Matthew Stafford gets hurt again or whatever. But the good news about the Rams is they're going to be down by 20 every week, so Kupp's going to rack up silly points.
Yeah, he's another one of those I think people are going to overthink, and he's going to like start to fall further and further down draft boards where it's like, dude, I mean, the guy's floor, if he plays the whole season, is, top 5 wide receiver.
Agreed.
All right, next up is the Arizona Cardinals, which is also a barren wasteland.
Dear Lord.
Is it though? So I thought the same thing. I was like, why would you draft anybody on these teams? But there's a couple steal possibilities on the Cardinals. James Conner is a fantastic steal. You could get someone that would go in like between like round 6 and 8, probably depending on how many teams you have. And then Hollywood Brown for a league, or you could run him more slightly. But Hollywood Brown, especially for a team that's going to be losing every week, Kyler's not playing, but they're going to throw the ball a lot. So you have that possibility. But it's definitely Connor, especially, I mean, the touchdown percentage isn't going to be as gnarly as it's been last year, but it's definitely a chance that it'll be pretty good. So I think it's Connor.
I agree. Like one of the remaining true 3-down backs in the NFL that are used that way. Connor's got the goal line work. He's great in pass pro. He's going to be out there on 3rd downs as well, and he can catch the ball a lot. And Colt McCoy can't throw it very far, so I think there may be quite a few dump-offs here for James Conner, at least early on in the season. But hey, we may see Kyler Murray sooner rather than later. I'm not sure, but that's the biggest question mark right now when it comes to all that.
There's zero chance.
Yeah, I would think so as well. I mean, honestly, this team is better off just punting to Caleb Williams next year, but that's my personal opinion.
Yeah, the only thing that sucks for us Bears fans is that Kyler Murray is probably going to be in the division next year.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
All right. I think for me, I might actually consider Mr. Julie Ertz here, Zach Ertz. As going off of Joe's sneaky people, Ertz is a guy that gets plenty of looks. As you said, Colt McCoy can't throw it that far, and he's somebody who could potentially win you a week.
My bad. I can't believe I forgot about him. He was only one of their 2 people I had on my blue chip roster rankings that I had for the Cardinals. Their team's terrible. They'd lose to the XFL champs. They're so bad.
I was considering Ertz, but I don't agree with Doug, so I'll agree with Dan and go Connor. No, I agree with Dan, not Joe.
Not Joe.
Next up is the Tampa Bay Bucks.
I mean,
Caleb Williams.
This has got to be Mr. Consistent Mike Evans, right? I mean, I did roster another guy in a different draft this weekend, but I got to go Mike Evans. Mr. Consistent. He has like 9 straight 1,000-yard seasons. I assume that's going to somehow end because Kyle Trask and Baker Mayfield are throwing him the ball.
Not when he gets traded at the deadline.
Maybe. I'll go Mike Evans.
Me too. Short and simple, it's Mike Evans. Unless you can take Tristan Wirfs in fantasy, then I'm taking him.
Are we baking in like value when we're making these choices too? Like if I feel that, like Mike Evans is going to produce the most fantasy points, but some other player is going to be a better value.
Doug didn't ask me to use my brain, just my instincts. Okay.
I like brain though. Give it to me, please. I'll take all the hits you can get.
I'm cool if you can defend it. So yeah, go for it.
I mean, I think I'm going to pick Rachaad White then because one of the better pass catching backs already kind of established himself as elite in that area. And if we're talking, most leagues now that value that, whether it's PPR or half PPR, like I'm going to go with a guy that's going to catch a lot of passes, and especially in a Baker Mayfield led offense or Kyle Trask led offense. Like I think they're going to have to rely a lot more on time of possession this year than trying to, win the offensive battle with Tom Brady at the helm. So, I think Rachaad White could have a breakout year and as a guy that you can get pretty late in drafts. And, it could be a guy that can win a lot of people some leagues if he keeps on falling.
Nice. I again, heart says Chris Godwin, head says probably Mike Evans for me. All right, moving on from them, we have the new look New Orleans Saints.
I had to watch that team move the ball really well against my favorite team's first team defense on Sunday. I know it's the preseason, doesn't really matter. I got to go Chris Olave. I really wanted to say Michael Thomas, but I'll go Chris Olave. He's the best downfield threat on that team, and I think Derek Carr is going to look for him a lot. So I'll go Olave.
Yeah, it's Olave. It's Olave. I'm not going to trust Michael Thomas as far as I can throw him, right, to play more than like 4-5 quarters. Yeah, he's played like a game and a half in 3 years, basically, since the pandemic. So yeah, it's Chris Olave with a bullet.
Yeah, I wish Alvin Kamara wasn't suspended for part of the season too. That would have helped his cause a little bit on there. I think you can make a case for him coming back. But all right, next up is the Carolina
pick.
Huh?
Dan didn't pick.
Oh, sorry, Dan.
No, I said ditto.
Oh,
and that's all I didn't have much to add. It's definitely Chris Olave.
Yeah. Like Doug was saying, and like Dan said with Tampa Bay, though, Kamara could, if he's sliding, and he did slide in a lot of pre-suspension drafts because people just weren't sure. He could have some value there depending on where you can get him.
How many games did he get?
6.
It was
3.
3. See,
okay.
3.
So we got 3. So we got 3, 4, and 6. Okay.
It's 3.
He'd be worth. I mean, damn. Even still, he'd be worth it. Probably, though. The problem is going to be
struggle though. Like he struggled last year, and
because he had me throwing him the damn ball.
That's fair. But I don't know. Like he may have trailed off a little bit, and now he's got some actual competition in town.
Yeah, Williams
now-
taking like goal line.
you know.
I know he won't get 17. I mean, what he did last year in Detroit was silly, but like
that's crazy. But it might take 5-6 touchdowns from Kamara, and that could be a big difference, right? And Derek Carr likes to push the ball. Like he's not as much of a dump off guy. I don't know. I mean, it could. I like Kamara in terms of, especially now with the value, but it's a little more dicey with the recent change and everything. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, especially with something more than the equivalent of a warm body at quarterback. It won't just be running and like Jawan Johnson touchdowns.
Exactly.
Olave. If Thomas does play, he will. If Thomas does play, he could have a huge year because Carr loves, like you said, throwing it downfield and a lot of 30-yard fade routes to Michael Thomas, just putting his face on or just dunking on dudes every week. That's definitely in the books because Thomas is really good. I just don't trust him to play more than 6 games.
I'm gonna throw out a hot take, and as we move on here, Alvin Kamara will have fewer touchdowns than Taysom Hill this year.
I don't think that's that hot, to be honest. That's lukewarm at best.
Yeah. All right, fair enough. Well, lukewarm takes for days.
That's what we live off of, man.
Yeah. All right. Next up is Carolina. Is there anybody on Carolina? I don't think outside. Good. This was the team I was like, I don't know who I would even want.
Miles Sanders.
Yeah.
By default.
Miles Sanders. Right.
Yeah, I think someone's got to catch passes, so Chark or Thielen could have a decent year. And I think this team could be solid, at least to win their division. And I think their division's going to stink. But, yeah, I don't know. It's going to be weird. But Frank Reich's a genius, so who knows? Bryce Young could just be coming out, dinking and dunking his way and pushing the ball down the field. He'll just be throwing everything. He'll just be like, I don't give a rip. Huh?
Somehow the answer is Nick Foles. I understand he's not even on the roster. I get it.
Andy Dalton's their backup, I think.
Yep.
Yes.
Red Rocket. All righty. Last up, closing out the NFC South is the Atlanta Falcons.
By Jan. Got to be by Jan.
Yeah, I agree. It's Bijan. Kyle Pitts I can't do until I'm willing to take the L, and he has a great season this year, and then I'll be back on the bandwagon. Just can't do it. And Drake London, we just haven't seen enough. But and I know we haven't seen anything from Bijan, but we know that Arthur Smith literally is obsessed with running the football, and Bijan is one of the best prospects we've seen in quite some time. So yeah, I think he's like the easiest rookie to kind of forecast from a fantasy football perspective that we've seen in a little while.
I don't think people should be worried about the other backs there. In my personal opinion, I think if he doesn't lead the league in touches almost, like Arthur Smith should be fired. I personally think he's going to walk into the league as the best running back in the league. There's a really good chance that he is right now the best running back in the world. And the way the offense can work, I think he could have a huge year. I want to ask you guys real quick. Do you think that I've seen him basically mock top 10 and everything? Do you guys are definitely fantasy experts compared to me, way higher on the regard. Do you guys think that's legit? Do you think he's worth a top 10 pick?
Yeah. I mean, if he's probably going to be a 3-down back, and there's not a ton of those out there. I think behind CMC and Eckler, I think he's probably the RB3.
I wouldn't fault anyone for taking him top 10. I totally get it. My personal preference, I'm too scared to take a rookie, regardless of what I just said, him being forecasted to be like an instant producer and stuff. I just feel like other guys around him, I would feel safer picking, and so I would go that route. I would want to take an elite receiver that's still available. I'd probably want to go with Tyreek Hill over Bijan, but you can absolutely justify taking him, in the late first round. Just wouldn't be my preference.
Yeah, I can see that.
Would you take Travis Kelce or Bijan if they were there?
Travis,
at pick 9.
I would take Travis Kelce. I would take Travis Kelce.
Yeah, same here. Absolutely.
But as someone who in a 10-team league with all his friends picks 9th, that was an important question for me to ask.
Yeah.
All right. Next up is the Vikings. I can't imagine anybody not taking Justin Jefferson at this point. I can't imagine anybody else.
Jordan Addison, baby.
So we're going to pick up a little time and skip past that. The Packers. Now, this is an interesting team, I think. Who, are you willing to gamble on Jordan Love either as himself or as one of the receivers? Or is Aaron Jones the play here?
If I may, the play is Aaron Jones, because I think at best this team is in like 22 personnel, 21 personnel, which for you nerds out there like me, 2 backs, a tight end, and 2 receivers. You are running the ball a lot. You are making it as mistake-free for Love as possible. And you're using your 2 studs in Jones and A.J. Dillon. And I think Jones has more upside fantasy-wise than Dillon. So that's where I would go. You could maybe say Christian Watson if he has a huge year. I think last year the touchdowns helped him out a lot. I don't think he'll be as touchdown-dependent this year. But I think Aaron Jones, if the Packers are successful, I think fantasy-wise it would be him.
I can agree with that.
For the same reason I took Geno, I'm going to pivot and go Love here. I think that there's 2 running backs who are fantasy relevant. I think that you have Christian Watson, you have Romeo Doubs, you have the rookie Reed at wide receiver who could all be fantasy relevant. So I'm going to go Love. I'm going to pivot here.
Wow, we got a contrarian over here, folks. I'm going to go Aaron Jones as well. I think they're going to run the football a lot. He's got a clear path to double-digit touchdowns, and he's got the receiving ability. So probably the last year where I'll feel confident taking Aaron Jones. I feel like A.J. Dillon will get his shot eventually, but they're going to ride it out with A.J. one more time.
All right. Next up is the Detroit Lions. What are we thinking here?
I'm going to go a value pick. I think that Amon-Ra St. Brown is definitely would be my normal pick here. But value-wise, especially because he is, and I'm positive of the 6 games here, I think it's Jameson Williams for me. I think he's somebody you can get late in drafts. I think he's got a ton of big playability. So late in drafts or off the waiver wire. So I'm going to go JMO here.
I think I would feel confident saying Amon-Ra, best player on the team, and he's also not someone that's going in the first or second round. Many instances you can pick him up on what I would consider somewhat of a steal even in the 3rd round, just because of the amount of targets that he commands. And Jameson Williams, super great talent. I have him in a couple dynasty leagues and can't wait to actually put him in a lineup. Unfortunately, that's continuing to be stalled. But in the meantime, Amon-Ra, at least for those 6 games, is going to be the clear-cut target guy. I think he had like a 30 or so % target share last year, which is, great for a team that like spread it out and was a great offense overall. So I feel comfortable saying him. But I will say, in terms of a value, I wonder if Sam Laporta could be one of those like great values at the tight end position. If you wait past Kelsey and Andrews and maybe even Waller, you take Sam Laporta in the late rounds. Maybe he finishes as a top 6 tight end or something this year. And that could be a huge value too. But Amon-Ra, easy choice for me.
Doug, you can go first.
Well, first off, Teddy Bridgewater is going to wear number 50 this season. That was just announced a couple hours ago. So Teddy Bridgewater.
I didn't know that was something they could actually that the quarterbacks could wear. I thought there were still restrictions on those.
I don't know. They took off all the restrictions on the defensive side last year, so maybe this is the QB year. I don't know. But
Teddy Bridgewater is transitioning to right guard.
Could be.
Maybe. Could be.
I don't know. The skinny knees will hold him back there. Definitely. Way more than they did.
He's got sticky gloves. He can really get his hands on the guy's shoulder pads. And
True. Yeah, probably Amon-Ra St. Brown for me, truthfully. But yeah, just wanted to jokingly talk about my love of Teddy Bridgewater.
Number 50.
I can't believe no one said it.
Jahmyr Gibbs?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They did. I listen, man. I used to be a bozo, and this was 5 months ago. I was one of those clowns that talked about premium positions. And then I realized, you know what? Premium positions are overrated. It all depends on your need and your value. And they didn't draft Jahmyr Gibbs for him to not have an insane year. I think there's a possibility that he could have, rookie year Alvin Kamara ceiling with catches and just his ability to do stuff. I think I think Jahmyr Gibbs. I understand Amon-Ra, so I just kind of wanted to go a little bit off the beaten path. But Jahmyr Gibbs, I think, could be like a league winner, where you'd get him in like the late third or early fourth round, and he's RB3, and he's got 80 targets to 100 targets. So I think that's an insane possibility.
He can absolutely catch 70 passes this year.
And they're going to use him a lot, too, in different ways. Because they got Montgomery, so they're going to do stuff with him where they're going to run 21 personnel. They're going to put him in the slot, especially while J-Mo's out. Like, he's going to get looks everywhere on the field. So I think it's Gibbs.
All right. We are tagging in Jordan Kernan, one of our newest members here of the staff. Welcome aboard, my man.
Hey, appreciate you. Thank you.
All right, we'll move on just to give Jordan a fresh shot. We're not going to make him rerun everybody, all the other teams. We'll just start here right with the Bears as the last of the NFC North here. So, Jordan, why don't you go ahead and give us the player that you would take off of the Bears if you only got one?
Yeah, if I only got one right now, just going off that first preseason game, man, DJ Moore looked good. So you kind of got to go with him, in my opinion. You can't deny the Mooney Fields connection, and it was kind of nice to see. Where's he at? It's kind of nice to see Khalil Herbert too, without David Montgomery there. But if I had to pick anybody, it'd be DJ Moore.
That's fair. Dan,
Yeah, I'm going to go Justin Fields because I think we're talking about a guy that could potentially finish as the number one scoring quarterback next year. Obviously, this is a part of his range of outcomes. He could also finish, probably at the back end of a top 10, but I feel like that's his floor right now because of the rushing upside. So to be able to get a quarterback right now who I believe is going as like quarterback 7, to me, and you're taking him at quarterback 7, pretty much at his floor there. So I feel like the upside is enough of an enticement to be able to take someone like that, where you can stack on receiver, running back earlier in the draft, and still get a guy like him in the 5th round, 6th round. That to me is juicy. So I'm going to take Justin Fields.
Got to be Fields for me as well.
Joe?
Yeah, I think Fields too. Because I think Moore could be great, and Moore's another like high leverage steal candidate where you get him in like round 6 or 7 maybe, and if he has a huge year, and he's the best receiver they've got. He's the best receiver they've had since like Alshon Jeffrey, but I just think
a great stack to have too. Like
Fields
and Moore stack would be really fun.
Yeah, and I think like my biggest thought is like a lot of their success will come off of his running as well. So like the Bears' success would be their receiver success, like Moore. I definitely think he could. That's where I'm feeling with why it's Fields over DJ.
Yeah, I can see. I've been since I came up with this idea. I've been debating this whole thing the whole time between these two. I think the fantasy football part of my brain says if I can get DJ Moore as my wide receiver 2, and if he balls out the way that we think that he might, that's probably makes me a lock to win just about every week, depending on who my wide receiver 1 is. Where if I take Fields, he's probably going to have a couple of boomer bust games in there, where I feel DJ Moore is going to have a more consistent floor. So I think between those two, I think I'm leaning DJ Moore of those two, and I reserve the right to change my mind by the end of the show.
Nope. This is your final answer, Doug.
I know.
Figure it out.
All right. That will do it for the NFC North. We're going to move on to the NFC least. And first up is
Hey man, you can't make that
That's
joke
low
after
hanging
they
fruit,
got.
bud.
You can't make that joke after they nearly got every team in the division in the playoffs last year, bro.
Sure, I can.
I'm just being honest. They had a couple of bounces. They could have had 4-10 win teams, man. We can't talk trash about them.
They could also have 4-4-win teams. Maybe
That's
not.
fair.
All right. Commanders are up. Who would you want off of the Commanders there?
McLaurin.
Scary Terry, baby, give it to me. Easy money. He's so good.
He's scoring McLaurin in these parts, Joe.
I like that too. That's a good. I never heard that until now. Thanks, DJ. I like that.
Check out season 1 of For Fantasy's Sake. You'll hear plenty of it.
He's a
Terry
dog, man.
McScorin.
He's a dog. He's so underrated too.
He
And-
really is.
if
Yeah,
anybody's
he consistently
counting-
produces.
When I say season 1 of For Fantasy's Sake, we'll be opening season 5 here in a couple of weeks. So
How about that? How about that?
Yeah.
They got weapons though, man. Dotson could have a great year. It all depends on how good Sam I Am does. It's why in the QB pyramid I put a diatribe on how I put in the blue chip roster thing. I wrote a diatribe on why the Commanders are insane for just leaving what could be a pretty good team in the hands of Sam Howell. But yeah, McLaurin's so good.
Hey man, I think Sam Howell might surprise a lot of people this year. And by that, I'm not saying he's going to be a great quarterback, but I think he's going to be beautifully average, which is probably something that a lot of people didn't expect out of him.
I think that's on the board. I just
Yeah.
I think jobs are on the line in Washington, and what they're doing is borderline malpractice. But yeah, only got one. I mean, it's McLaurin easily, man.
Riverboat Ron, baby. Always willing to gamble.
Sheesh.
All right.
Yeah,
Anybody
I don't
else
have much
any
to add.
other-
I agree.
Yeah. Anybody else have anybody besides McLaurin?
can we
Don't
at
make
least
Warner Dotson.
pour one out for Brian Robinson, who played more games last year after getting shot in the leg than Michael Thomas has the last 2 years?
Yeah, right.
Hey,
Talk about
yeah.
strays, Michael Thomas.
And no kidding. And by the way, the greatest return for an NFL player when he came back to at home with many men playing when he ran out. Woo! That was so sick.
Well, I have thoughts off the air for you on that one.
Hey, I'm just being real, man. That was dope.
All right. Next up, defending NFC champs, Philly Eagles. Lots of choices here.
I gotta go Hurts.
Absolutely. You can't trust their backfield. Their backfield's it's a carousel. Even with
Yeah, I don't know
Swift
who's gonna. That'd be a good a betting line for who's gonna lead the team in carries.
Well, welcome
next
to
year,
a
you know.
rapid fire question every week on For Fantasy Sake. Dan Glasgow.
We're moving from
Yes.
wheel of Steelers wide receivers and wheel of Rams wide receivers to wheel of Philly backfield.
There you go.
What are we going to be able to keep the will Kyle Pitts score a touchdown on American soil joke this year?
Sure, why not?
It's the new throwback to again season 1 of For Fantasy Sake. Will Leonard Fournette score this week?
Yeah, last year did pretty much. A friend of mine, Nick, gave me the insight that at the time Kyle Pitts' only touchdown in the league was the game they played against the Jets in London. Yeah. So the question every week last year at one point became, will Kyle Pitts finally score in America?
I mean, I would love if he played 2 games in London and scored 4 touchdowns in each and had an 8 touchdown season, but still never
Legendary.
scored.
That'd be crazy.
Be amazing.
But yes, to answer this, it's Jalen.
Yeah,
Shout
because
out
he's
shout out
the
Jalen
one. He's the one that has the best chance to finish number 1 at his position as well. I mean, I don't think anyone thinks AJ Brown can get there because Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, too much competition. Devonta Smith's great, but he's not as much of a bargain as he was last year. People are not sleeping on him anymore. And as a contrarian, I guess maybe you could throw Goddard out there just because of he had the largest ADOT of any tight end last year. So if maybe that's something to be said for that. But
Would you say Goddard's worth putting in like that second group of tight ends with like Kittle, Andrews, Pitts if you're a psychopath, Waller? Am I missing anybody? And
I don't
then
know.
him?
I mean, I consider
Darren Waller in
Kelsey
that second
in his
tier.
own tier.
Yes, Travis
and,
Kelsey's in his own tier.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
then,
yeah.
And then I think Andrews and Kittle maybe, or maybe not even Kittle. I don't
Hawkinson.
know.
Hawkinson. Yeah, Andrews, Hawkinson. So I guess the third tier of
So yeah,
he
third
would be
tier
like
with like Freiermuth and Kittle, Goddard. Like I'd probably feel more comfortable with Goddard than any of them.
yeah. Okay, I was just curious.
Jordan, did you answer?
Yeah, Hurts for sure. I mean, like I said, you can't really trust the backfield, and then same thing. Are Brown and Smith going to get there again? Hurts just does so much with his legs; it caps their ceiling.
Yeah. I mean, he's not going to score 13 touchdowns, but even if he scores 9, he'll still be in contention for the top quarterback.
Say it's on the board. I mean, the way they run, the way they do their offense, man, it's not out of the realm of possibility.
3 yards per carry on a quarterback sneak.
All righty. Next up is the Giants. DJ, are you going to take Daniel Jones?
Yeah, Danny Dimes is my boy, but no, I gotta go Saquon.
Okay.
We would have fought. Yeah, shout out to the Giants for completely screwing that up. But yeah, Saquon the Don, baby.
I'm going to reverse course mainly to play devil's advocate. I'm going to say Darren Waller because I think he's going so far now down draft boards that it's kind of ridiculous. Like it's at a point where even if you bake in 4 games missed, it's still a bargain to take him in, like the 10th round or maybe not that far. It depends on the team league size, but he's going in the late rounds. So
think how good
Darren Waller could have a great year.
Just think how good Bellinger was last year until he got hurt.
Until he got the finger to the eye.
Yeah, Waller's going to have a good year.
I'm not going to go as far with hot take as saying the entire NFL, but we got to mention Darren Waller. Pour one out for at least in the NFC East having the hottest wife.
I don't even know. I haven't even seen any pictures.
Kelsey Plum, Las Vegas Aces, cigar at their championship parade.
Okay,
that's all you need.
Nice.
Shout out Kelsey Plum.
Remember the video going around at a Spurs game of the woman throwing a T-shirt into the upper deck?
Yes, that was her. Okay. She's got a cannon.
Yeah.
She could probably like sling it 60 yards easy.
She could probably throw it further than Daniel Jones.
Yeah, probably. Yo, I beat you to the punchline.
All right. Before we move on, Jordan, you want Saquon or you want somebody else?
Yeah, Saquon. I mean, yeah, same boat. I mean, he does it all.
Sweet.
She's probably a better athlete than Daniel Jones too.
Ooh, she doesn't trip over the 10.
All right. Next up, and last and definitely least, is the Dallas Cowboys.
Let's just mute Jordan.
Yeah, don't mute me. No, everybody always gives me this. Like, I'm a real Cowboys fan. Like, I'm not the one who's saying we're going to the Super Bowl every year. I've got very realistic expectations. I hate Dak Prescott. I don't like the guy at all. I wish we would have gotten rid of him. I just don't like Dak. He doesn't have he's this year's Tony Romo. Tony Romo only got us so far, and now Dak's in the same boat. He only gets you so far.
Yeah, but y'all should have built statues for that man. Y'all could have had the Dark Ages if when Tony got hurt.
Oh, I agree with you 100%.
But wouldn't the Dark Ages be better because then you can get the next guy? Like I've always thought with Dak Prescott and the Cowboys was they were cornered into he was just good enough to warrant a contract, but not good enough to warrant what they paid him. But they were forced to pay him top $5 when he's a 15th best quarterback,
And think about all the quarterbacks that came after him in the draft. Had you tanked that year, think about the possibilities. Think about all the people who have come up into the league the last few years where, you've got a number 1 pick, or you're at least picking in the top 5.
Yeah, sometimes you got to blow it up.
Exactly.
Jerry's ego will never let him do that.
Never.
Yeah. But Jordan, tell us your pick then. We'll give you the floor for this one.
So, I mean, with Pollard coming back from an injury, you got rid of Dalton Schultz. I mean, you have to go CD. I mean, he's been a stud. He's been a target hog. I think Brandon Cook's coming in. I think it gives you a little bit more to think about. I think he still gets doubled or, a safety over the top, but I mean, he's just good enough to where he can get it done.
Wouldn't Pollard, though, still be the guy just for the fact that he's getting all the carries now? Like, he's not going to get – I think anyone who thinks he's going to get 25 carries in a game is insane. And I think if the Cowboys actually do that, they're insane.
Correct.
But he's still going to get a huge – I think both. I mean, you can't go wrong with Lamb or Pollard. They're both probably – they have the ceiling of top 5 at their position.
100%.
But I think, it's just flip a coin, in my opinion.
Yeah,
but you're forgetting about, and maybe you just didn't see him, Deuce Vaughn.
That's exactly it.
I'm
just kidding. I'm just joking.
Dance in the hole for 10 minutes so he can get 4 yards. Jesus.
Yeah.
It's the worst thing about preseason is getting these horrific clips getting love. Deuce Vaughn I love Deuce Vaughn. Shout out to the Kansas State legend.
He'll make the team though. I bet you he'll make.
I'm sure he will, but I just the thing everyone was losing their minds about was a play in practice where if it was actually a game he would have got stuffed in the hole. And a play in the preseason game where he danced at the line and got 3 yards. I was like, come on, man. Y'all are better than this.
Yeah, he just looks like Zeke in a few years later where you just dance around and, he get 1.5 yards.
All right. That takes us to the end of the NFC, and we're at 7:45. So I'm going to leave it up to you boys. Do you want to try and push through in 15 minutes, which I don't think we can do? Or do you want to call this the NFC show and come back and do an AFC show another day?
I mean, we could just do like a lightning round where we give brief explanations. Yeah. Like,
Joe's
you guys want to do that? Just freaking fire through it.
Yeah, let's see how fast we can fast money this, Doug.
All right, here we go. So next up, Chargers.
Herbert.
Eckler. I'm going to go Eckler.
Oh, yeah, Eckler.
I should have said Eckler too, but I'm going to stay Herbert.
Guy might catch 100 passes.
The most crazy difference between actual value and fantasy value. But yes, Austin Eckler.
Yeah.
After that, Raiders.
I refuse to talk about them.
Caleb Williams. Drake May.
Whoever will torch the Kansas City DBs for 200 yards.
Adams will torch the DBs and then push the cameraman.
Correct. And they'll still lose.
Yeah, it's Adams. It could be Jacobs, but we don't know enough about his situation right now. And they're probably going to have to throw it more often this year because I think they're going to be really bad.
All right. Yeah, PJ just wanted to fast forward just so that we could not spend a lot of time talking about the Chiefs, but Chiefs.
Kelsey.
I think for positional advantage, it has to be Kelsey.
Yeah, Kelsey. Yeah.
Kelsey's basically a wide receiver, so Kelsey.
There's a legitimate argument to taking him number 1 overall. I'm not even kidding. Like, there's a legitimate argument to do that. I would say.
I would say the highest I think about it is like 3, but absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, okay, personal preference.
But you're right,
Justin Jefferson. But I could see the argument. I could see it.
Good.
Broncos.
Judy.
Let's ride, baby. What a tire fire.
Let's go Dulcich.
Paxton Lynch. Javonte Williams.
Yeah, Javonte Williams for me.
Yeah, I think Williams for me as well. After that is the Titans.
Henry.
King Henry.
Jinx.
He makes the most logical.
Although I wonder if like DeAndre is going to catch like 13 touchdowns this year, but on like 30 catches. Like it'll just be like a red zone guy, just rack up 13 tutties. But
DeAndre Hopkins is Chris Carter. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't catch touchdowns, baby.
Good lordy.
All right, the Jags.
Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley might be the number 1 wide receiver this year, man. Let's not overthink this. And people are going to be able to get him in like the 6th or 7th round.
That
He's a
I'm not
stud, but I don't know, man. I think
the
T-Law.
gamble on that. Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree with DJ.
I mean, Trevor Lawrence, it's tomato, but like Ridley's ceiling is what top 5 receiver.
Maybe it's Trevor Lawrence. Maybe it's Maybelline.
I don't know, man. I just worry about the target shares. So many targets to go around.
They're gonna
You know,
both.
like
they're gonna.
Ingram,
true.
ETN.
They're gonna get them both. This is gonna be one of the 3 best. This again. He's a top 5 receiver, I think, and I think this offense will be top 5. They're gonna be so damn
Who's
good.
next?
Unless he gambles it away. All right. After that is the Colts.
Yeah.
Anthony Richardson.
Name starter today.
Worth it.
I'm still gotta go Jonathan Taylor.
Yep.
I gotta go Jonathan Taylor.
Jonathan Taylor.
Quickest question is picking Jonathan Taylor wasting a draft pick? I think there's a better.
I think he'll play. He'll play this year, but he might. I think you might have to factor in a couple games missed.
I think there's a chance he doesn't play, but I picked him 2 overall last year and got shot between the eyes with that. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't pick him. I wouldn't touch him. I'd take Anthony Richardson, but like
Recency bias, man. You can't let it get you.
I mean, yeah, but man, I also don't think they're going to keep him. Depending on where he gets traded to, maybe I think there's a better chance that he doesn't play this year than plays for the Colts.
All right, Doug. Who's next?
All right. Joe's still going. Next up is the Texans.
Gotta take Pierce.
Oh no. Wait. What? It was the Texans here. This is a brutal one.
Yeah.
Schultz, Dalton Schultz. Like,
Yeah, Schultz or Pierce. I'd have to go with Pierce.
yeah.
CJ Stroud looked awful. I mean, I get it's only one preseason game, but he did not look good.
Say for the love of the brand, we're taking Bobby Trees.
Yeah.
Trees.
Just
Joe,
because that is he is the foundational piece of For Fantasy's sake.
Dalton Schultz. It'd be between him and Pierce, but I'm worried about them trailing too much for Pierce. Nico Collins could be sneaky too, but I'll go Schultz.
Steelers.
Just don't draft Texans.
Najee.
No.
Yeah. Avoid at all costs. Steelers.
Najee.
Freiermuth.
I'm going Freiermuth as well, but Najee's close. I think he's gonna have a big bounce back year.
Nowhere to go but up.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
Not wrong. I mean, honestly, I think you could get away with Pickett. Pickett as a late quarterback. I mean, him and Pickens have looked really good. And I mean, like I said, one preseason game, but you see some of their clips and they look like they're really meshing.
Yeah, he can get some 30 yards on the ground a game. It's an easy 3 points.
Yeah, but in
Don't
that
sleep.
logic, the thing I'd be worried about is like, what's it worth taking the guy who might be like the 16th best fantasy quarterback? But I get the
He's
thought
free.
process.
He's free though.
That is
Yeah,
true.
I mean,
I get the
that's what
thought
you're doing.
process, and also who did we say like Freiermuth? I mean, Freiermuth will be probably top 10, but like Harris could be like the 18th best fantasy, and then like Deontay Johnson might be wide receiver 28. So like,
See, I think
It's not the
Johnson
highest
gets
ceiling.
a lot of targets if you're playing PPR. I think his targets are going to really uptick this year.
And he didn't score a touchdown last year. Like he literally set a
Nowhere to
record
go
for
but
most
up.
catches without a touchdown.
yeah, I saw something about that
yeah.
too. So his touchdowns will go up.
All right. Next up is the Brownies.
Watson.
Nick Chubb.
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 All day, baby.
Nick
I
Chubb,
think
brother.
Watson at value.
Yeah, that's a fair
Yeah.
point too. But I think it's Chubb. Chubb's gonna have a great year.
I'm gonna go Chubb too.
All right. Bengals. Here's a good choice. Do you want your quarterback or you want your wide receiver?
Chase.
I want the guy who's probably gonna get picked second in every draft outside, like between him and Austin Eckler. It's Jamar Chase.
Jamar Chase.
Shout out Joe
same.
Burrow though.
Jamar Chase.
Where would you take Burrow? Is he the definite number 2 after Mahomes?
No, he's
No.
probably quarterback 4. Wouldn't you say, DJ?
Yeah, behind Allen, Mahomes, Hurts.
Personally, I would take Trevor Lawrence over Burrow.
Lamar
Yeah,
ahead
I
of
just-
Burrow.
Oh yeah, Lamar.
Maybe Justin Fields ahead of Burrow.
Interesting.
What did Burrow finish last year as a QB? Probably like, did he finish?
I think he was QB like 6. I could be wrong. I don't.
Depending on
remember
where Fields
exactly,
finished,
but
I know you got to like skew that because Fields
he
obviously
just doesn't
basically
give you much with his legs. That's the only
Yeah.
problem.
That's true. I think if y'all are worried about him missing games, I don't think he's going to miss any games.
I'm not worried about him missing games. Burrow was QB4.
But that's fair. Lamar playing a full season, Fields playing a full season. Those guys with their legs definitely have higher upside for top 5 potential than Burrow. So I do get that.
Speaking of Lamar, the Ravens are the next team on the books here. You want him or you want Mark Andrews or other?
J.K. Dobbins for value.
I'd say Mark Andrews, but I'm very interested to see which one of these receivers between like especially at least Flowers and Bateman. I think Odell will probably be like a red zone touchdown merchant, but Flowers and Bateman, I'm excited to see which one of those comes out to be a huge fantasy guy, if either.
Baskin Dobbins has crushed my soul too many times.
I love
So
it.
I'm gonna go with that was my fantasy football name last year. I had to
You're
go.
not getting 31 flavors?
No, not at all. Not getting 31 touches either.
Yeah, baby.
I'm gonna go Mark Andrews. He's clear cut for me.
Mark Andrews.
See, I think I'd take Lamar here out of those guys.
Yeah.
Says the guy who
He could be QB1 as well. So
Yeah, says the guy who took Mark Andrews at the 108 in the Scott Fish Bowl. So, all right.
You were just doing that for a gimmick, though, probably.
And premium.
All right. Next one's also interesting. You got the Jets. You got Aaron Rodgers. You got Garrett Wilson. We got Dalvin Cook.
Garrett Wilson for me.
Garrett Wilson.
Yep, Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, I think it's pretty. As much as I've been banging on the Aaron Rodgers drum for fantasy purposes, for fantasy's sake,
There you go.
I just got $10 there from DJ Cash App. Garrett Wilson, he could have a monster year. He's so good.
Sounds fair. The Patsies.
Pass. Zeke.
Tom Brady.
Yep.
It's clearly Ramondre Stevenson, who him and Saquon helped me get to the playoffs last year in my league. But yeah, man, it could be a train wreck.
Yeah.
Ramondre
Ramondre
Stevenson.
gonna once again get his freaking goal line touches vultured.
Yeah.
Poor guy. Poor
Zeke's not
guy.
that good.
Dan, we'll send you the thing that DJ sent about Jerome Bettis with the 3 carries for the 3 touchdowns and the .1.
In the that was a Super Bowl stat line, wasn't it?
Love it.
Something like that.
No.
Yeah, that's brutal. But that's probably going to be what happens. All right, Joe, I'll let you lead off on your Dolphins.
I mean, it's clearly Tyreek. I don't think the 2,000 yards is on the board, but I think that's more like Cooper Kupp if he stays healthy or Justin Jefferson. But it's definitely Tyreek Hill. Waddle's close, but Waddle's more touchdown dependent, huh?
Nothing go.
It's more. I think Waddle's more touchdown dependent for fantasy.
For fantasy what?
For fantasy sake, $10 more. Ching. But yeah, it's definitely Hill.
Yeah, I gotta go Hill too.
Even as the fantasy morality police, I would say yes, probably. Hill's probably the correct answer there.
Somewhere here in my pile of University of Alabama collecting cards, I have the guy Jalen Waddle.
All right,
This offense is going to spray though, like crazy. As long as the Samoan, the bloodline member stays healthy. Acknowledge him.
Show, Joe. Same network, different show. All right, and bringing up the end here, circling the wagons is the Buffalo Bills. I guess there's one choice here, I would assume.
No, I hate the other guy, Stephon Diggs. Bottom two athlete for me.
Bottom 2?
Yeah.
Like on guys you hate? Like on guys you hate? Okay, okay.
He's one of my 2 least favorite athletes.
I think we've seen the best of Stephon Diggs, unfortunately. I think we've also seen the best of this Bills team, personally. But I'm going to go Josh Allen.
Yes, grasshopper. Or I guess I'd be the grasshopper. I don't know. Yes, we're on the same. Bills aren't. Cash, someone find me the FanDuel odds for the Bills not making the playoffs so I can hammer my mortgage on it. Yeah, Diggs. Gun to head.
As much as when we first started this show 5 years ago, and I used to tell Nate that he was crazy for loving Josh Allen, I think Josh Allen's the right answer here. He's clearly the guy that you would want to take.
In case anybody's wondering about the other athlete I hate, neither of my least favorite athletes can beat Patrick Mahomes when it matters.
So his brother?
No, it's Steph Curry.
How do you hate Steph Curry? He's such a likable dude.
No, he's not.
Can't stand him.
He's great at golf.
Yeah, except for when he plays Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce.
Yeah, fair.
I was wondering what you meant by that, but now I understand. I was wondering, like, wait, who the hell? And then I was like, wait a minute, how can Curry not beat Mahomes? But now I get it. That's a good one. Good job, DJ.
All right, so we managed to do the AFC in 14 minutes. So
That was everyone?
Nice.
that was everybody.
Oh, yeah, we did get it.
We would have gone over, but I muted you when you're talking to me.
That's fair.
All right. Any closing thoughts? Do we enjoy this format? Did we like this game?
Yeah,
It was fun.
It was fun.
Hey, Dan, tell everybody where to find you.
Yeah, at Dan Vasco on X, Twitter, wherever you go for the social medias. And you can catch myself and my co-host Mark Hespin on the Football Lounge right here on the For Fantasy's Sake Podcast Network. For Frequency's Sake Podcast Network. Excuse me.
You got
For
$10
FantasySakeUC.com.
You got $10 for saying for fantasy sake, and then I'm charging you 10 for getting it wrong.
Okay, sounds good.
Joe,
Break it
But
even
we
today.
still need to do the transaction. Still needs to happen.
Joe, where do you find Joe?
You can find me at Joe the Show. You can kind of read it if you squint. The Joe the Show QCSN, Joe the Show 365. That's where my more vulgar, wild hot takes are land. You can catch me in about a half hour for our top 50 college football players list for DJ and Dan and Doug, who are old and are about to go to bed. You guys can just turn that on as some white noise. Yeah, we're gonna be going live with that in about 40 minutes or so. So check out that, and then next Sunday, the 27th, we will be doing Nick Briggs and I are going to do our first Sunday live show, our first Sunday night live show. We're going to do kind of a wrap up on our favorite over-under picks are for the win totals, and go through. I'll drop the first Elite Eight on that, and those will also be thrown up on TikTok and stuff throughout the year. So the preseason Elite Eight, we're going to go through our favorite win totals, that overs and unders we like, plus anything else I can think of in the next 12 days for us to do on that first Sunday live show. Then we'll have a week off, and then we're back, baby. It's time. It's almost time, DJ. We're so close.
All right, Jordan, where do we find you?
Follow me on X or Twitter, whatever they want to call it nowadays, at JFantasySports. I'm working on another article right now for Frequency's Sake on the DFS deep dive. So I've kind of gotten into just some strategy for daily fantasy, and then this article is kind of focus on stacks, what best stacks to go, how to choose your defense, stuff like that. I'll get that written up, and then are we still doing the Friday podcast?
Yeah, you forgot we renamed you.
What'd you rename me to?
For fuck's sake.
Yeah.
For Buck's
for Buck's
sake.
sake.
Like Young Bucks.
I like that.
$1,000 bills like Johnny Manziel.
Super
I like it.
party.
And
Shout
then
out
for Doug and I, actually all five of us at some point during this season, you can catch us every Sunday leading up to kickoff, 10 to 11:30 a.m. Central on For Fantasy's Sake. We'll be going over the week's all the week's fantasy news, give you some DFS and gambling advice. It's going to be a good time. Jordan will be on there. We will have our very first show on the Sunday before Labor Day. I believe that is the 3rd of September. We'll be coming to you live from the Milan Fall Festival card show. So if you're local, make sure to go to the card show, check it out, stop by, say hi. Doug might give you his autograph.
I might. Won't be able to read it. We have also partnered with Gridiron AI for the metric side of the house for the numbers if you are into the spreadsheets and the nerdy type of addition and subtraction type things.
And as always, we want to thank our sponsors, Clint's Draft House and Durham Remodeling, for bringing us here tonight. That's how Joe gets all those $10 for saying for frequency's sake, and how Dan's going to have to pay back to the account. So.
Yeah.
And DJ takes me takes me out for a drink at Cabby's every time I put the Chiefs #1 in the Elite Eight. So there you go, baby.
Like that.
If I come off as a Chiefs homer this year, it's because of DJ.
All righty. So thank you very much for anybody who stopped in and watched. We really appreciate it. With that said, thanks everybody, and we will be back in a couple of weeks.